Hello, book club fans. Dr. Uche again here. How are you? I'm here to discuss a new book with you. If you are here for the first time, welcome, welcome. And if you're coming back, great to have you back. I am discussing today What We Lose by Zinzi Clemmons. What We Lose by Zinzi Clemmons. So before we go ahead and hit subscribe and also hit that bell so that when I upload new videos, you will know. I come here to discuss what I'm reading, to inspire you on your reading journey, and I hope you'll comment and also share with me what you are reading about. So again, Dr. Uche, your Dr. Booktuber, let's dig in. So, What We Lose by Zinzi Clemmons. This was a really moving story. I believe it's semi-autobiographical, written by the author, Zinzi Clemmons. So she is a young woman who is daughter to a Black American father and a South African mother. So her South African mother is of mixed race, or so-called colored in that part of the world. Mixed race people are called colored in Southern Africa. So she is born in Philadelphia, as I recall, born in the US, and she's growing up in the US. And she's really writing a little bit about her life. So the author also has the same background, but this book is revolved around the main character called Tandy. So Tandy, again, has the African-American father, the South African mother. And Tandy is growing up in Pennsylvania and growing up in a relatively loving family, doted upon by her mother and father, and having what would I say, a typical upbringing. Every young person has things to reconcile. She does struggle with being in the middle, not feeling Black, not being white, being from a part of the world where her mother wasn't quite either Black or white, but suddenly in America she is seen as Black. So I feel like she had a bit of conflict trying to reconcile those different parts of her heritage. But as far as I can see, her mother had embraced being Black, but there was a bit of colorism in the mother's experiences and her utterances, the things she talks about, how people of a different shade would act differently towards Tandy, and so on and so forth. So we can see the young Tandy growing up and trying to make sense of all this. She ends up being very good friends with Amina. Amina is a Black American girl who's very much culturally and culturally and ancestrally Black, in the sense she, fully embraced the Black culture. I get the sense her parents were actually worked in civil rights or that sort of thing. So Amina ends up dating a white guy. So there was a bit of acceptance that Amina and her white boyfriend had to struggle with, not only on his side of the family, but also on her side of the family. But, it's actually very beautiful how it all wraps up. She ends up in this beautiful union, Amina. She and her husband understand each other. They actually make good progress as a lovely couple. I think at the very end they have a child, and so on and so forth. But Tandy remains great friends with Amina, great friends throughout all the struggles and the ups and downs of growing up through high school, going to college, and so on and so forth. Now, that is just part of the story. The bulk of the story revolves around Tandy's mother suddenly getting ill, having pains in her neck, and being diagnosed with cancer. So the bulk of the story is actually painful because Amina sees her mother get sicker and sicker, decline. She leaves college, comes home to take care of her mother. Her mother withers away, ends up in hospice. She is right there caring for her mother, and her mother eventually passes. So in this book, she is trying to make sense of such a profound loss. It's not very clear to the reader that Tandy and her mom were extremely close at the beginning. But I think it was probably more growing pains. As we all grow, we discover ourselves. We grow to a point where many people, You may even be critical of some aspect of your parents, but you grow to respect and love them, and you grow to cherish them and realize they are unique and there's nobody else who can fill those shoes in your life. So I get the feeling I think in this book, she probably was, the main character was probably 20s, 30s maybe, a max at the end. So she grew to cherish this mother of hers, so much so that when the mother passed, it was very sad, a huge gaping hole in her life. And she struggled to make sense of the pain, to cope with the pain. A lot of people who loved her, especially Amina, embraced her, tried to help her deal with this. Cousins reached out to her. You get the sense she had to work through it. It's a journey one has to work through on their own. Yes, people can embrace you and you accept their love and their help, but it really is a very personal journey dealing with such a profound loss. And she talks about relationships, Tandy's relationships. Some worked, some didn't. Obviously, that is life. And this guy she ends up having a baby with. So a baby is born near the end of the book. And she refused to have an abortion. She rather went through with the pregnancy, had the baby. And at the very end, she didn't reconcile with the father of the child. Yeah, I've forgotten that already. She didn't reconcile with the father of the child, but she was learning to make peace with single parenting, learning to make peace with having no mother in her life. Her father actually went ahead and married again. Yes, she wasn't thrilled about it, but she accepted it eventually. And we see her moving on. So, geez, I think that's it in a nutshell. It's very much a story of loss and trying to cope with it. A story of trying to find yourself where you don't feel like you fit in anywhere, trying to make sense of your being and your inheritance. And I like how she, so because her mother's family is South African, I like how she puts in a little bit of history. She talks a little bit about Winnie Mandela, a little bit about her legal issues, accusations that came up against Winnie Mandela, the ex-wife of Nelson Mandela. And she puts in a little bit of history, a little bit of statistics about cancer in Black people, and so on and so forth. It's a very nice medley of autobiography, a little bit of fiction, a little bit of history. And so that's Zinzi Clemmons. I will say I love this book. It was touching. It's a very short read. I finished it in a few hours. So it's not something that you need to take days or weeks to finish. You finish it very quickly. It shed some light on something that I deal with every day, which is cancer, but from the perspective of a daughter, a family member, watching a mother go through a very painful illness and subsequently losing a mother. So that's What We Lose by Zinzi Clemmons. I hope you might consider reading it. And if you do, I hope you leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. As always, Dr. Uche, Dr. Booktuber. Remember to click subscribe and also hit the bell so that you'll know when I upload new videos. Till next time. Bye-bye. I hope you stay well.